Traditional on-premises network setups require high levels of attention and time to manage and validate. AWS networking solutions give you back your time by reducing network complexity, improving security posture, and providing you with the tools needed to monitor your network traffic. Get started by launching an Amazon Virtual Private Cloud, or VPC. You can easily select subnets, IP ranges, route tables, and security groups. You spend less time managing and verifying your network and more time building your applications. You can also use VPC flow logs or traffic mirroring to gain operational visibility, detect network and security anomalies, and troubleshoot issues. To meet your security needs, Amazon VPC provides advanced security features, allowing you to perform inbound and outbound filtering. And to secure your network connection while keeping your traffic on the AWS network, you can use AWS Private Link. Private Link establishes a private and secure connectivity between AWS services and your VPCs. AWS networking solutions scale as needed, even if you have tens or hundreds of VPCs. AWS Transit Gateway helps route all traffic to and from each VPC and provides you with a central console to monitor your connections. Start building a strong foundation today with AWS networking solutions.
The power of the AWS cloud is within your grasp.
That's why we have chosen the AWS Essentials trainings to bring everyone on the same level of knowledge. So when we're talking about cloud, everyone has a basic understanding what is meant.
Whether you are just starting out or looking for ways to scale and speed up your success, you have a need for cloud skills. AWS Training and Certification has solutions for AWS customers and AWS partners, as well as the next generation of builders and leaders. Developed by the experts at AWS, our training resources help you advance in your career, building cloud skills on your team to innovate and achieve business goals.
We made sure to provide all types of training because, as you know, not all adult learners learn the same way. Some learners prefer instructor-led training, while others prefer self-paced.
No matter your role, we can help you gain in-demand cloud skills, both introductory and advanced, and validate your expertise with an AWS certification.
Preparing for the exam really reminded me the fun and enjoyment there is when it comes to education and self-learning.
Whether you're developing a new application or growing a business, AWS Training and Certification helps the builders of today and tomorrow leverage the power of the AWS cloud.
We're going to learn all about improving DevOps with Infrastructure as Code, IAC in short. And we're also going to know all about getting started with AWS CDK.
We'll be talking about the AWS CDK. I want to start a blog. So, sige, I will run WordPress siguro. Kukuha ko ng some server somewhere. I will install PHP on it. Tapos I'll start maybe a MySQL database. Tapos papatakbin ko lang WordPress. You have to be able to design some form of architecture that will, kasi ang AWS CDK or yung AWS Cloud Development Kit, it's also infrastructure as code. Okay? And I think what really makes it special is that you can use normal programming languages. AWS CDK, it's just infrastructure as code, pero using a fluent programming language, diba? Tapos you're working with apps, stacks, and constructs. Yun lang yan.
This is co-presented by Amazon Web Services and AWS Siklab Pilipinas. It's over here, over here, over here, over here.
You've earned an AWS certification. Congratulations! Now what? Show your employer, colleagues, and your customers that you've met the bar set by AWS experts. Add your digital badge to your professional profiles and email signature to highlight your skills. Share it on your social feeds to celebrate with your network, and offer verification via email or on your resume. Cloud skills are in demand, and you have them. Share your AWS certified achievement today.
Here to present about Vulnerability Management Service and its benefits in a single click is Sir Joshua Arvindat.
So security is a tricky topic. A lot of us, even if we're already working in the IT industry for, let's say, 5 to 10 years, security remains to be a very complex topic. So let's say that you have a system, a WordPress site, and you might be using a really old WordPress version. Amazon Inspector relies on SSM, and SSM needs to be configured properly with your EC2 instances for it to work correctly. And again, you need to read other sources and documents. You need to check if I perform this patch, if I perform this action, would I be able to remediate this vulnerability? You just need to wait for your scan to complete. And after that, to work with a security professional, this is automated. If you update the server, the scans would automatically run, and you just need to check if the reported vulnerabilities decrease or if they disappear.
Thank you to AWS and AWS Siklab Pilipinas.
My name is Edward Likwong. I'm 21 years old. Every day, I wake up at 4 so I can avoid the rush hour traffic. I leave at 5 and usually arrive in the office at 7 in the morning. My commute usually takes 2 hours to go to office and back home. The commute back home is actually harder as you are already tired from a full day of work. Our mom worked abroad because of the lack of money. We only visited our father every other weekend, so we lived with our aunt. I found out about the AWS Siklab because our professor posted it on our group chat. AWS Siklab helped me be a step closer to my dreams. It led me to my current job that would hopefully give our family a better and happy life.
StratPoint is a software development company. We help enterprises build great software, and we also help them in their digital transformation. One of the things that we were really looking for was someone who already had experience in serverless. And Edward, from his internship with another company, had a serverless development experience already in AWS.
At AWS Siklab, we were given lectures by people flown from different parts of the world. The last day was what all fresh grads were waiting for. Imagine looking for a job and then being in a room full of opportunities. IT gives so much opportunity and reward those who are willing to learn. It also aligns with my dreams to invent and make something great. To all aspiring IT professionals, the secret is to learn, learn, and learn. Work hard and don't stop until your dreams become your reality. I am Edward Likwong, 21 years old, a junior software engineer at StratPoint Technologies Inc., training to be a DevOps specialist. My dream is to ultimately contribute something great. I want to be somebody.
Hi everyone! Happy Thursday and happy Women's Month. Welcome to the Community Ignite series. We are now on our 33rd episode, and it's all about building a secure AWS foundation. So let me introduce myself. I am your host for tonight, Darla David, a technical community manager of Edukasyon.ph and an AWS community builder. So we value your time and spending your Thursday evening to learn with us. So I would really love to get to know you guys more. Kaya naman, before we ignite your night, pakilala naman kayo sa ating chat and tell me your ulam for dinner. So let us know that you are here by saying where you are from and if you're a student or a professional. Let us also know what university you're from or yung profession mo. And we are also live on Facebook. Hello po sa ating FB Live viewers. Don't forget to tag your friends and share this live. Let's also help others learn from our very own industry leaders. Ayan, good evening guys. Good evening John. Good evening Minnie. Let me know your ulam for tonight. Ayan, good evening Migs. Hello. Ayan, thank you so much for taking the time to attend this free 1-hour tech-driven webinar. It's very, very nice to meet you all. Good evening, Ace, and good evening, Kevin. Ayan. Hello, Jericho from University of Makati. His ulam for tonight is tokoy kahoy. Wow! Fried chicken din si Ace. Ayan. Ano ba yan? Fried chicken ba yan ni Glock 9? Char. Ayan. So, tama ba ako? Anyways, if this is your first time joining us, Community Ignite series brings people to uplift fellow developers and professionals in the Philippines. So with different guest speakers all over the world, sharing their expertise in the field. So whether you are a student or a professional or a career shifter, this series is here for you. Kaya naman join us every Thursday from 6 to 7 p.m. This event is all for free and comes with an e-certificate and is co-presented by Amazon Web Services and AWS Siklab Pilipinas. Ayan, so the last episode was all about getting started with infrastructure as code in AWS. So in case you missed the previous talks, you can watch the highlights on our socials. So AWS Siklab Pilipinas on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, and you can also watch the full episode on the Community Ignite series playlist on EdTV YouTube. Ayan, so going back to the chat, tingnan natin kung sino na ang mga nagpapakilala. So hello again to our 101 participants here in Zoom and also to our FB Live viewers. So let me know how excited you are tonight or kaya ulam mo nga mamaya dinner. For example, mine is going to be chicken curry. Ayan, so hello Shane, hello Dan, hello Ace, Alet, hello Kyle. Wala pa kayong ulam. I'm sure na yung ulam mo mamaya ay masarap. Wala pa maisip na ulam. Ayan, from si Lily, sabi ng Gigi from QC. Ayan, hello then from University of Mindanao main campus. And then hi Ryan from Isabela. Shrimp and gulay for ulam. Love it. Ayan, nakakagutom naman ang ating chat. But I'm sure you guys are hungry for knowledge as well. Kaya naman ang speaker natin for tonight is a solutions architect at Amazon Web Services. Mismo. So as an AWS SA, she helps customers in their cloud journey and provides them guidance and consultations. So she has a decade of experience and is adept in release management, continuous integration and delivery, and in building microservices applications. So she was already a guest speaker before in the series, and ako rin yung nag-host. So back then, I was so inspired by her talk, and I can't wait for you to hear what she has to say tonight. So here to empower more women in tech, please give a big round of virtual applause to Miss Damsel Acosta. Hello, Miss Damsel. How are you feeling tonight?
Hello!
Ayan,
Good evening sa inyong lahat. Ayan. So, makiki-join lang ako, no? So, sabi nga ni Darla, so, my name is Damsel Acosta and my dinner for tonight is sinigang. Naki-join lang ako sa, sa chat natin for dinner later. Okay, so before we start, so let me share my screen lang. Kahit ilang beses na ako nag-participate on Zoom meetings, naninibago pa rin ako sa share screen option. Okay. Ayan. So, can you see my screen?
Yep, we can see your screen.
So, it's the wallpaper, no? Tama ba?
Yes.
Okay. Sige. Alright. Oops. Yan. Right. Okay, so there. So our topic for today would be to building a secure AWS foundation. Okay, so to start off, so I'm sure a lot of us, especially for those of you na have been working on your AWS accounts, working on your workloads on AWS, you have seen this diagram before. So this is the shared security responsibility model. So for those of you that haven't seen this before, so this diagram actually illustrates the responsibility between AWS and the customer with regards to the security and compliance, or with the security of the cloud and in the cloud. Okay. So just to give you an overview, so the bottom part of this model is for AWS. So this means that we take care of the responsibility for security of the cloud. So meaning yun yung physical data center security, the separation of network, your isolation of hardware, and yung storage and the likes. While yung upper part naman, this one is for the customer. So this means that you as a customer has the responsibility to take care of your customer data, the data that you deploy in your servers, for example, your OS, if you're using EC2 instances, your firewall configuration, as well as the encryption of the data that you put inside of your resources. So in that note, so that means that you have full ownership over the data that you put inside or you host inside of the AWS resources. And also that means that AWS does not have access or will not be able to access your data in case you have accidentally deleted it. So for example, you have an AMI or you have an EBS volume or a data in S3, and you've accidentally deleted that without having any redundancy in place or without any backup in place. So that means that we won't be able to retrieve that because AWS doesn't have access to your data. Okay, so this line that you see in here, or the separation of responsibility that you see in this line, is actually not constant. So what does that mean? So it means that depending on the service that you use, that line will actually shift. So let's say, for example, you're using EC2 instances. So that means that the responsibility of AWS there is to maintain the compute, the storage, the database, the networking, the hardware, and the overall infrastructure of it. But the customer data, the platform, your application management, how you allow certain ports in coming in and out of your EC2 instances, that is your responsibility. But if you're using container services, you may notice here that a portion of it is already being taken care of AWS. So in this managed services, so the platform, the OS, yung network firewall, these are already being taken care of AWS. Now, what you need to take care of here is yung customer data, yung firewall configuration, plus the encryption of your data. And if you're using serverless naman or abstracted service, you will notice that majority of these components are already being taken care of by AWS. And you only need to manage your customer data plus the encryption of that data. And possibly if you are using, let's say, for example, S3, you need to make sure that you fortify your S3 bucket policy as well. So as you can see, as you move to the right side of the spectrum, everything is less customizable, but you have less customer responsibility. Because as you can see, AWS has bigger responsibility as you move to the right side of the spectrum. And that also means that you have more best practices built into it. While if you move to the left side, so these services are more customizable, but at the same time, you have more customer responsibility in terms of taking care of it or securing it. Okay, right. So I will start with this code. So security is everybody's responsibility, because in this day and age, as we move, as most of the companies move into digitalization, and all of us or majority of us are practicing agile development, yung security is shifting left. What do I mean by shifting left? Usually, in the left side of the spectrum, there's the developers who's doing the coding, and on the right side, there's the sysad who's doing the deployments. There's the security engineers who does the securing of your resources, right? But as we do things more agile nowadays, we need to shift left. meaning that the being secure, right, is not just the responsibility of those that have security in their roles, but also the other ones in the company that are, let's say, for example, coding, right? So you can practice security there by making sure that what you code is adhering to security best practices. Let's say, for example, an example of that is when you make sure that there's no secrets, right, or passwords that are being embedded in your code. Okay. So let's now dive into the security foundations. So what do you need to do before you start doing, your projects or awesome things in AWS, right? So before we go there, right, let's first take a quick look on the anti-pattern. So this anti-pattern is actually some common mistakes, right, that is being adopted or nagagawa natin when we start using AWS without actually doing an AWS account planning. So in this example, right, initially, most of us naman will start using AWS as a test, right, as a way for us to practice our skills, right? So without you realizing or knowing that later on that test environment or that test account is actually have a lot of VPCs already or multiple VPCs na with a single account structure, right? So dun sa isang account na yon, you have a lot of different workloads, different environments, and it becomes harder and harder for you to know who is managing what, okay? This is most commonly seen yung sa mga pansamantagal, right, ng mga accounts na sa simula, this is just a test environment, and then you convert that test environment into production environment. So most of the time, ang cost nito is that when we do testing, right, and we see that what we are testing is already working, and we don't want to lose that progress, and we don't want to start all over again, so yun na lang kino-convert natin into production. Okay, which is wrong kasi we need to make sure that we are segregating our workloads properly. Kasi in the future, when our workloads increase in complexity, tayo din yung magsasuffer. And one of the risks that we see here is the ambiguous security boundaries. Okay, so for example, your company has already grown, right? And you've adopted that same account structure, right, that you have put in place before. So, and now you are subjected to auditing. So it will be hard for you to know who is the owner of certain resources, and especially if employees come and go then. So a lot of questions like who uses this database, who has access to this server, who is the owner of the server. A lot of those questions get asked, right? And sometimes it's a difficult question to answer, especially if you're just someone who's new in the company, right? And then there's no documentation left behind by the other members, okay? And the worst part of this is that sometimes this is the cause of access being given to everyone, kasi hindi nila alam kung sino yung dapat na may access doon. So para hindi nila sumakit ang ulo nila, they just give access to everyone, okay? So how do we make that better? So you make that better when you do your account planning by also isolating your workloads using accounts. So why do you need to do this? AWS accounts actually serves as a resource container or as a boundary, as a security boundary in your resources. So that means if you have resources in account A, that means that you won't be able to touch or to talk to resources in account B. Of course, that is possible, right? By setting up certain rules, by assuming IAM roles in that other account, but by default, you won't be able to access what's in account B if you are using resources in account A. Okay. Aside from that, you also get to differentiate your costing, your billing per account, and you also can enforce different security thresholds and limits in certain accounts as well. Okay, so if you're looking to automate this, so for example, if you have a lot of accounts, you might be wondering, right, how will you be able to do this in an automated fashion? So the answer to that is AWS Control Tower. So Control Tower actually lets you create multiple accounts and teams, and this will definitely save you time in provisioning multiple accounts in the AWS environment. So not only that it gives you ease, but it also makes sure that the setup that you're doing is employing the AWS best practices for configuring your AWS security and management service. Okay, so aside from that, it also comes with the guardrails, as we call it. So these guardrails are actually the service control policies, and this service control policies, or SCPs for short. So this restricts certain actions allowed inside of that AWS account or certain organizational units. Okay. And aside from that, if you need visibility to know what's going on in a certain account, or if you want to see the policies that are in place for that AWS environment, you can see that in AWS Control Tower, because it gives you that visibility and summarization. Okay. So again, going back to that account strategy note, so you can again organize your accounts by functionality. Okay, so for example, you want to organize all of your sandbox or test environments in one OU or organizational unit. You can do so. Okay, so by the way, organizational units, these are just a group of AWS accounts that you can administer as a single unit. Okay, so if you have, for example, project A, project B, and you have you want to do you have a test environment for that and production environment as well. So you can group all of your test environments in a single OU, so that you will be able to manage or apply the same service control policies in that OU, and that you will be able to manage all of that easily. Okay, so by adopting this type of structure, if in case you decided to expand, right, your business, right, and when your organization grows, you can just seamlessly add a new organization unit or add a new account. Okay, so it's also easier for you to see each account's purpose, because if you give it meaningful names, or you give it you group it by different functionality, it's easier for you to see the purpose of each account. And if in case you need to scale, you just need to add a new account under each OU, or if you need to remove certain accounts, you can just do so in the console. Okay, so aside from that, what benefits does it give you? So you can also, as mentioned, you can group them by security properties. So if in case you need to monitor or to audit certain OUs, right, or you want to set certain permissions for your accounts, you can do so. So you will notice here the foundational OUs, the one that has a broken line. So this actually includes the security OU and infrastructure OU. So yung security OU, this includes the security tooling such as yung AWS Security Hub, Amazon Guard Duty, Macy, Detective, Config, IAM Access Analyzer. So the idea is you have a one-stop AWS account that will handle all of that security tools that you have. Okay. For the infrastructure OU, this can have yung networking account or yung shared services account. So also included in here is the log archive. So ano naman yung log archive? So yung log archive account, this includes this serves as a catch base for all of your logs. So let's say, for example, you have 10 AWS account. So the idea is all of the log files in that AWS account, such as your access log, DNS log, flow logs, CloudTrail, right? All of those logs of those 10 AWS accounts will be dumped into a single S3 bucket in a different or in a separate AWS account. So the idea is because we want to make sure na the integrity of those log files are not compromised. So hindi nila may edit, because the only ones who has access to this log archive account would be your security team or yung nagmamanage ng inyong security policies, or those people that have that needs to have visibility on your logs in case something happens and you want to investigate some issues. Okay, So another tip that we need to do is to, to implement a strong identity foundation. Okay, so before we do that, let's first understand yung identity, right? So the identity in AWS, right? When you talk about identity and access management, you talk about the who can access what. Okay, so these are your developers, or it can be your applications as well, right? Basically anyone or anything that need access to certain resources. Okay, the what are your resources? These are the resources in AWS, such as the different services, S3, EC2, DynamoDB, right? Your buckets, right? Now, the middle part in here is the permission. So the permission is the one thing that connects your developers or your applications with your resources. And that's what we need to focus on at the end of the day. It's all about the access control. Okay, so the first one is actually, there are two parts to this. So the first one is actually your job, which is to specify what access controls, like who can access what and under what conditions. Okay, it's not good that all of you or all of your developers have admin access in your AWS account. Okay, you should be practicing the principle of least privilege access, which I will be talking about in the next slide. Okay, so the first part again is your job, is to specify which policies or who has access control, who has access to what. And the second one is AWS job, which is to enforce what you've specified in your policies. Okay, and the goal of this is to actually make sure that you adhere to the principle of least privilege access, or POLP. Okay, it's all about granting users and system to the bare minimum set of privilege to complete their required task. Okay, so I will give emphasis on the term required task because when you think about your different environments, so your task or your colleagues' task may differ depending on the environment that they are working on. So for example, in our development environment, it might be part of your developers' task to actually explore or experiment on certain services. Therefore, they have access to those services, right? In order for them to encourage, to innovate, and to do certain experimentation. But on the other hand, when it comes to production environment, you have to restrict your developers into having maybe read access only into your servers or in certain services only. Okay, so that means that you have to make sure that you are enforcing least privilege access, and that the policies enforced in your IAM users are only the bare minimum required that they can that will be able to let them work, okay, on their day-to-day jobs. Okay, so as part of this enforcing a strong identity, you have to familiarize also yourself with the IAM policy language. Okay, so we have this acronym, which is PORC. Okay, P stands for the principle, A for action, R for resource, and C for condition. Okay, so the principle in here is actually the one who, or the entity that is that we are allowing or denying access to. The A is the action, which is the type of access that we allow or we deny access. So as an example, we want to allow a certain action, which is to get the secrets from secrets manager in this example. And the resource in here is actually the action that is acting on, the resource that the action is acting on. So in this case, our resource is the secrets manager, right? But one tip in here is that not to use this $sign curly brace account in the ARN, because this does not work. Okay, so this may work in your CloudFormation solution or in your Terraform IAC, but in IAM policies, this does not work. You have to specify, or you have to explicitly specify your account number in here. Okay, where this ARN actually this variable works is the last part. Okay, so this part in here, you have to explicitly specify the account number, and then in here you can specify this hashtag account. But just to be safe, right, just input the account number. Okay, so the condition naman, this is just optional, right? So in some cases you have the option to use conditions where you specify certain conditions for a certain access to be deemed as valid. Okay, so one of the key things also that you have to remember is that you have to continuously review and to right size the access that you have in your IAM policies. So it's not just hindi lang sa EC2 instances natin kailangan mag-resize, but we also need to make sure that we right size our access. Okay, so sometimes kasi when we are experimenting some things in AWS, we give the all access, right? You have all access to all of the services, and then when things are working, sometimes we are afraid to downsize that access because we might kung ano man yung na build natin, baka hindi na gumana, right? But we have to enforce this because it will be beneficial for you in the long run, because if a lot of your users has access to your resources and one of those users get compromised, then you have a big problem, right? You also have to make sure that your monitoring are in place, right? Para if in case nangyari yon, you have a way of auditing or you can see kung ano man nangyari and do root cause analysis. Okay. Anyway, this is just a cheat sheet that lets you know which services to use in certain use cases. So for example, you want to automate your inventory and assessment of IAM policies, you can use AWS config. If you want to identify unused roles or users that you want to remove in the future, you can use IAM last access information. So if in case lumobo na yung dami ng users, yung IAM users ninyo, and you want to know which of those users do not really access or maybe duplicate users sila or test users lang sila, and you want to make sure that all IAM users are accounted for, you can use the IAM last access information. So aside from that, if you want to see any potential unintended access permission, you can use IAM access analyzer. This also lets you generate certain IAM policies based on access activity. So for example, if you don't know what your developers need, right? So you can check based on their access pattern. So IAM access analyzer lets you do this. Okay. So the next topic, so this compromises almost half of our session this evening, is the top 10 security items that you can do to improve your AWS account. Okay, so this at a very high level, these are the top 10 things that you can do, right? But let's first discuss, before we discuss each one of those, so let's first discuss kung saan siya nanggaling. So this 10 list actually is based on the feedback from our field team that we see in our day-to-day conversation. So sino ba tong field teams na to? So these are the technical account managers, the solutions architect, yung professional services, and yung well-architected framework din natin. So aside from that, we also get feedback from the support team. So based on the calls or the tickets that they receive, right? So what are certain security incidents that we think can be mitigated by following this the simple steps? And lastly, of course, this is also based from the feedback that we get from different customers during certain events. Okay, so by putting all of this together, the CISO of AWS has laid out these 10 most important cloud security tips. Okay, so first one is the accurate account information. So most of the time, ito talaga yung na-overlook nating lahat, because when we start using AWS, right, we just wanted to launch that instance, you want to build something already. But what you don't know is that there's a big impact when you don't input the accurate account information. So ano nga ba yung pwedeng ano ba yung risk natin dito? So you might risk losing access to your AWS account. Somebody might hijack your account, or somebody might change your accurate account information, and if that happens, right, you might risk losing your AWS account per se. So if you lose that, you will go all through this process before you gain access back to that AWS account. Okay, so best practice in here is to make sure that you input alternate contacts as well, as you can see here on the screen. So if in case you need, if there's any alerts or notifications that is related to your billing, your security, your operations, these people will be notified as well. Okay, and also one security tip here is to make sure that your account information is not registered to a single email address or a single person's email address. So for example, nakapangalan yung AWS account nyo to one of your DevOps engineers. Now, what happens when that DevOps engineer leaves the company, diba? So buti kung na-turn over ng maayos, but a lot of times, nakakalimutan ng mag-turn over, or biglang may nag-awol, right? And sa kanya pala nakapangalan yung AWS account nyo, or information niya yung nakalagay sa AWS account nyo, then that would cause your company a big problem. So make sure that you do not use a single person's email address. What you use is a group distribution list. So for example, you have a group distribution for your DevOps team, so use that so that multiple people will get to notify as well if in case there are incidents or notifications related to your account. So mas mabuti na maraming makakakita, especially if you have received notifications from abuse, right? Abuse at Amazon.com. So make sure that you respond to that within 24 hours. Okay. So next one is to use MFA. So I'm pretty sure a lot of us are familiar naman with MFA. So MFA is just a additional layer of security on top of your usual username or password. Or sometimes kapag online shopping tayo, di ba, may mga OTP pa before you proceed with your purchases. So that's the same with MFA. So you get that additional security factor before accessing your AWS account. Okay. So when a user, if you enable this, when a user signs into your AWS account, it will need to be, they need to input an authentication code as well, coming from their MFA device. Okay. So if in case, by some luck, a person or a bad actor guess your password, at least there's still some form of extra protection on top of your username and password, and they won't be able to go through your AWS account agad-agad without having that MFA code. Okay, so this MFA naman can be virtual MFA. So yung mga apps na like Authy, Duo, or LastPass can work with this MFA. Or if you have in your company, if you have hardware MFA like U2F or UB security keys, you can also integrate it here. Okay. So aside from that, MFA is not just for credentials, so it can also act as protection, as a protection for your S3 buckets. Okay, so for example, if you want to protect your objects from accidental deletion, so you can enable delete protection. So if in case somebody deletes that, they need to have that MFA code first before they can successfully delete their that certain object. Okay. Okay, so third one is no hard coding of secrets. So ito yung nabanggit ko kanina, right? If you're a developer, right, you have to make sure that there's no hard-coded secrets in your code. Okay, so ano ba yung mga secrets? Secrets are the API keys that you use within your application. This can also be credentials or database credentials, or possibly admin credentials or Active Directory credentials. Okay, so the question is, if you don't hard code the secrets, saan nyo to ilalagay? So this is where tools like AWS Secrets Managers comes into play. Okay, this will enable you to manage the life cycle of your credentials and as well as your secrets, and to monitor them. Okay. So aside from that, you're not just limited naman to AWS Secrets Manager. If you're more comfortable in using open source secrets manager like Vault, right, from HashiCorp, you can do so as well. Okay. So aside from that, another one still in the note of hard coding of secrets. So instead of using access keys and secret access keys, you have to use IAM roles instead, especially if you're using sa mga EC2 instances ninyo, right? You have these access keys. You sometimes have this IAM user that you use to communicate or to get things or from different AWS resources like S3 bucket. So instead of using or embedding your access keys and secret access keys to your EC2 instances, it's better for you to use IAM roles because, again, access keys, these are long-term credentials, meaning hanggat hindi nyo dinidelete yung access key na yan, hanggat hindi nyo dinidisable yung access key na yan, it will remain active for the whole duration of that single user in your IAM, in your AWS account. Okay? So, buti sana kung rotate nyo diligently yung access keys niyo, but if not, right, which is a lot of majority of the time happens, right? So you have to make sure that you use temporary credentials such as IAM roles, okay? Because if in case your instances get compromised, at least it will be easier for you to restrict that role or to remove that role instead of, the access keys doing further damage to your account and resources, okay? So the next one is to limit your security groups, okay? So security groups, this act as a firewall for your EC2 instances. So as much as possible, only limit or only open limited ports that you actually need, okay? And avoid using the 0.0.0.0 because that means that you are allowing everyone in the world to have access in your EC2 EC2 instances, okay? So again, as much as possible, restrict only to ports, okay? So restrict only to limited ports and make sure that you are doing network segmentation. So what do I mean by that? So if you're familiar with yung private subnet, public subnet, so make sure that only those that can be accessed publicly, such as your maybe your load balancer, sila lang yung nasa public subnet, and your application server and your database server is residing in private subnet, okay? Okay, so fifth one is intentional data policies. So what do we mean by that? So all of our data nowadays are not created equal, okay? Some data is considered as classified or private or public, okay? So it is important that you understand the different data that you have or that you're working with, because understanding what the data classification of each of those data can help you in protecting or in securing it in your AWS accounts, okay? So let's say if you don't have any data classification in place, so one good way to start is to determine whether your data is public or private, okay? So once you determine that, then you can already set your policies on how you would handle that data. So for example, in S3, you can separate your object into different buckets based on data classification. So maybe objects that can be public goes into bucket 1, and then private objects can go to bucket 2. And based from that segregation, you can now decide whether to block public access altogether in your account, or maybe you can just set certain bucket policies in bucket 1 and bucket 2. Okay. So another one is if you want to make sure that your S3 bucket does not contain any PII, right? You can use a service called Amazon Macie. So Macie helps you discover and protect your sensitive data in AWS. So for example, if you think you're storing PII, right, and want to make sure that you really are not storing, or you want to make sure that you are masking all of your data in your S3 bucket. So you can enable this to just to verify whether you really are not storing sensitive information in your S3 bucket. So another example is KMS, so Key Management Service. So in here, you can use two different IAM roles, for example, for encryption and decryption. So by doing that, you get to separate the data entry or the encryption from the data review or decryption. Because by doing this, it allows you to do threat detection on the failed decryption attempts by analyzing that certain role that you have. So number 6 is to centralize your CloudTrail logs. So as I mentioned in the beginning, right, you have this log account that catches all of your logs. So it is important that you centralize all of that to make sure that the integrity of your log files are being protected. Okay, and this also prevents from unwanted deletion of logs, and this way it will be easier for your administrators to check the logs in a single place. So the second one is to validate IAM roles. So if you have a lot of IAM roles already, right, you have to make sure that you validate all of them. And as I mentioned earlier, so you have to right size the access to your users and to your roles. And you have to reevaluate over and over again, maybe every quarter, right, whether that IAM role is still needed or not. Okay, if it's already unused, then you have to delete that role to reduce your attack surface. So the 8th one is to take action on finding. Okay, so it's one thing that you enable these security services, but it's a whole different thing if you start acting on these findings, because if you don't take action on these findings, then it's just the same as not having these alerts at all. Okay, so remember that turning it on is just the first step, and to get the most out of it, you need to take action when you see these different findings. Okay, the 9th one would be to rotate your keys. Okay, so this is another important cybersecurity hygiene, is to rotate or to delete your security credentials regularly if you are not using it, or you have to rotate it, especially yung mga admin users. Okay, kasi itong mga admin users or those users who has access keys, right, you have to make sure that you are diligently rotating it, because especially if they have full access to your AWS account, that could be dangerous if they are compromised. And also, rotation of password naman is really a parang it's not just in AWS, right? You have to practice this outside as well, like in personal email, your company domain password, your bank PIN. So you have to make sure that those are rotated as well for your protection na rin. So last tip that I could give you is this one is actually not technical, but this is more of a people tip, right? So be involved in the dev cycle. If you are someone who is a security analyst, security engineer, or a DevOps who is overseeing the security of your resources, make sure to be involved in the dev cycle. So as I mentioned earlier, as much as possible, we shift left already. So kasi if you are already involved in the dev cycle and you understand how things are working, and there's transparency between you, the dev team, and everyone in the company or in the organization, then it will be easy for you to keep security in mind and to plan out your security roadmap for your application or for your company. Okay. So lastly, I hope we still have time. So make sure to prepare for security events. Okay. So as you know, everything fails all the time. Walang perfect, right? So we should be prepared on how we on how to respond to certain cloud incident. Okay. So usually these are incident detection is done by engineers manually, right? But you have to make sure that all of you are on the same page and you know who to communicate if in case you see something amiss or may kakaiba sa inyong AWS account, make sure that everyone on the team has or knows the escalation path. Okay. Just like any drills, right? If there's fire, if there's earthquake, we do drills, right? It's the same for incident response. So this should be drills should be routinely practiced through game days. So game days are events where we simulate a failure or an incident to test certain systems or a process and how a team responds. Okay. So this will also let everyone in the team be aware on what to do if in case you are compromised. Okay, so next, in terms of technicalities, so you have to understand what you have in your environment. Okay, you can do threat modeling. You can identify what important parts of your environment that needs to be taken care of extra. Extra more effort, or what security tools that you use, what is it that you need to monitor, do you have any documentation or step-by-step guides that you can do when a certain incident happens, right? And you should also consider evaluating the tools that you have from time to time, or better yet, if you have automated tools that you have that alerts you if in case there is a breach that happens, then that is much better. Okay, so at the recap, so these are again the basic cyber hygiene tip that I can give you, and this actually goes a long way. Okay, so you can take a screenshot of it or reference it later on and then apply it in your workplace. So last one, so if in case you get compromised, right? Because as you know, being in the cloud is not always rainbow and it's not always sunny. Sometimes there's just a bad day in the cloud. And if you think that you notice any unauthorized activity in your account, so number one thing to do is to don't panic, okay? Next is to raise a ticket to AWS support. So in raising a ticket to AWS support, make sure that you supply all the details that you know. Give as much data and context as you can that will help you, or that will help the AWS support team. Okay, so things like what gave you an idea in case you get compromised. Are there any logs that you can justify or you can give? Are there any new resources that was spin up? So things like that. So if in case naman you can sign into your account, so you can create you can use the contact us form that you see, or the link is in here, or you can also create a new account and then contact AWS support using that using that new account. Next, if you have been working with AWS account team, right, make sure to contact them and work with your account team to make sure that your CloudTrail is turned on. You have security services like guard duty turned on in all regions and in all of your account, and you can work with your solution architect to perform the initial triage for your to prevent further compromise for your AWS account. Okay. So again, these are just some tips that you can use to prevent, or the initial steps that you can do if in case you have noticed any unauthorized activity in your AWS account. Okay. So what do you do if you need help in securing workloads? So if you need further help, or if you want to do a one-on-one session with us, so please reach out to your AWS account managers. But if you don't have if you're not yet in touch with our AWS account manager, then you can submit a file or support to sales support contact us form via this link. Okay, and with that, I will end my presentation this evening, and back to you, Darla.
All right, thank you so much for that insightful talk, Ms. Damsel. With the limited time we have, we already learned a lot of in-depth concepts such as shared security responsibility model, AWS. Yes? AWS Account Strategies, AWS Control Tower, IM Policy Language, Cyber Hygiene, and many, many more. So due to time constraints, we will have to skip our question and answer. However, you may send them to Miss Damsel. So Miss Damsel, nasa ka na? Ayan, Miss Damsel, where can you reach you ba? Like any social media accounts po, or do you have any upcoming events that you would like to promote? Ayan, Miss Damsel. Do you have
Ayan, I don't think we have one, but just follow us on LinkedIn or sa Facebook. We usually post naman, or dun sa user group, right? We usually post naman yung events that are upcoming that you can join in the future.
All right, Miss Damsel. Thank you po talaga, and we hope to see you in our next episodes. And of course, hindi lang Community Ignite series ang handa namin for you. We have a lot of upcoming events that will fit your interests and skills. So we're going to open, ayan na, ito na yung mga upcoming events natin. Ayan, so we are going to open the registration for AWS Restart Batch 2 soon. So ano nga ba yung AWS Restart? So it is a 12-week virtual training program that covers fundamental AWS cloud skills as well as practical career skills such as interviewing and resume writing. So this is to help individuals prepare for entry-level cloud roles. So the date for the second batch registration is yet to be announced, kaya stay updated sa aming FB page. Now, are you curious what it's like to be a cloud professional? So you can spend an evening with us at A Day in the Life of a Cloud Practitioner this March 29 from 6 to 8 p.m. So our friends and certified cloud champions from eCloud Valley will give you a glimpse of their work life with some storytelling of real-life experiences. Plus, you will be able to discover how to kickstart your career with the AWS Premier Consulting Partner, eCloud Valley. So how exciting, right? So for this event, you may register in this link, and you can also win a special and raffle prizes by clicking here. So I'm gonna drop everything in the chat box. Now for our attendees, I have another question for you. Are there any job seekers here tonight? Because we are excited to announce an exclusive virtual career summit, Emerge Career Summit, and we would like you to be a part of this flagship event. So ang Emerge Career Summit, it is a virtual career fair targeted at job seekers based in Southeast Asia to land their next career opportunity. So the opportunities on offer range from internships to full-time positions that are tech and non-tech in nature. So if you are keen on exploring potential roles or would like to speak a recruiter, please join Emerge Career Summit. So on their day one, March 29, they're going to focus on tertiary students for internships and fresh graduate positions. Then the next day, they're going to target early career to mid-career professionals. So for the Emerge Career Summit, you may sign up here. Next, here's another question for you. I seem to have like a lot of questions for you. Ayan, so for our attendees ulit, are you interested in earning as you level up as a developer through quests and tasks? So Angel Hack is proud to share that we'll be partnering with StackUp to bring you an exclusive peek at their latest Learn and Earn platform. So you can earn more than $500 as you tackle learning quests and follow guided bite-sized learning pathways. So here in StackUp, you can learn all about Ethereum, Rust, and Python. Now here's how to get started. I'm going to drop all the steps in the chat box. There you go. Right, and calling all women here tonight, meron naman tayo for our Pretty Women in celebration of Women's Month. So we have two events by AWS UG Build Hers Plus. The first one is their monthly meetup, which will be happening right after this event, right after CIS. So if you want to learn more about storage, serverless, and auto-scaling, punta kayo later. So to RSVP for the monthly meetup, you may go to this link. Yan, that's for the monthly meetup tonight. Then the second event by AWS UG Build Hers Plus is a month-long celebration to help women level up their cloud skills by mentoring. So they're in this month-long celebration, nasa ano na sila, last or fourth coffee session on March 27. Which one? Yung ano? Wait lang, sige. I will get back to you. So for the month-long celebration naman, meron silang coffee session about Certified Cloud Practitioner and Solutions Architect Associate. That is 3 o'clock p.m. onwards. So for this coffee session naman, which is last na, so March 27, you may go to this link. All right, I'm gonna get back to those who are asking for the StockUp link. Next is there is also a free certification study group focusing on the Cloud Practitioner exam organized by our very own AWS user group Philippines. So on Sunday, they are already in their third session. So for more information, you may visit this link when it comes to the certification study group. So yan, kita nyo naman guys, we have partnered with a lot of tech communities and organized events just for you. So for an overview, here are more of our events for the rest of the month. So on March 29, we're going to have the eCloud Valley event I mentioned earlier, yung A Day in the Life. At matatapos naman ang ating March with the 34th episode of the Community Ignite series on March 31 entitled Reignite AWS Cloud Foundations. And then meron din tayo mga events from our friends. For our partner communities, you may see that on the side of this slide. Yan. So you may stay updated with our upcoming events by following us on our social media accounts. And wag na wag yung kakalimutan sumali sa ating Siklab community dahil we have a lot in store for you. Lahat ng yan ay nasa Linktree or you may actually scan the QR code on your screen. Alright. At syempre, meron din kaming pag-game sa inyo. So be the next top CIS attendee and win AWS credits worth $20. All you have to do is post your CIS certificate per episode and post it on either Facebook, LinkedIn, IG, TikTok, and tag us at Edukasyon.ph and AWS Siklab Pilipinas. Also, don't forget to use the hashtags AWS Siklab Pilipinas and Edukasyon.ph when you post. So next week, i-announce namin ang top attendee for March, kaya humabol na kayo. So, time flies so fast kasi next week na pala yung last week of March. Kaya don't miss the chance to win our top attendee for the of the month title. Yan. So I have learned a lot from this 1 hour tech-driven webinar. I hope you guys learned a lot too. I hope you enjoyed it. And I am so thankful for our speaker. Thank you so much again, Ms. Damsel. Now I want this opportunity, take this opportunity to invite you all in a photo op with the speaker. So Ms. Damsel, open up ulit tayo ng camera and then let's have a quick photo op. Ayan. Hi, Alden. Hi, Jumar. Hi, Ryan. Hello, Evito. Nice meeting you all. I'm just gonna wait for Ms. Damsel to open her camera. Ayan. Hi, Alden. Hi, Jed. And hi, John. So we are going to take a picture in 5. Oh, Sir Rafi. Hi, Sir Rafi. Ayan, dito rin Sir Rafi. Ayan. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Smile. All right. Let's have a quick another one. This time, magwaki kayo. All right. So 1, 2, 3, smile. Ayan, para sa kami ni Ms. Damsel ng post. Ayan, marami nang katanong about the evaluation form. So now I would like to announce our new guidelines for e-certificates. So I'm just gonna wait for the slide because strict na tayo sa ating certificates. So e-certificates will only be given to those who attended the webinar in Zoom. So for those in FB Live, next time, please go to the Zoom link. So what we're going to do is verify your names on the Zoom attendees. Kasi di ba nag-registration kayo before kayo punta sa Zoom. And then we're gonna match it with the names on our feedback form that you guys are going to answer. So that's how we're going to release the e-certificates for you. Alright, yun yung ating e-cert reminder for tonight. And that wraps up our 33rd episode of the Community Ignite series, Building a Secure AWS Foundation. So ito na, we would love to hear your feedback, your experiences and your thoughts. So to answer our feedback form, please go to go.edukasyon.ph/CIS33quest. I'm gonna drop it in the chat box. Here you go. There you go. All right. Again, no, go.edukasyon.ph/CIS33quest. All right. And once again, we would like to thank not only our speaker, but our co-presenters as well. So thank you to AWS and AWS Siklab Pilipinas. Yan. So thank you again for coming, guys. This has been Darla David and AWS Siklab Pilipinas. Stay safe and I'll see you on the last episode for March next week. Bye, guys. Have a great night and have a great ulam.
Are you working on projects or making decisions that require understanding cloud fundamentals and benefits? The AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner certification validates foundational cloud knowledge, including how the cloud impacts your business, core AWS services and use cases, billing and pricing models, and security concepts. Demonstrate your cloud fluency by achieving an industry-recognized credential from AWS. highlight your proficiency and be a part of your organization's cloud adoption from any role. AWS Certified. Build with confidence, competence, and credibility.